What's up, Gingerbeard fans? Welcome back. I got another awesome video. I am so excited about this one today because this is about a game that I really like. I am DDR Freak, the Gingerbeard Man, and today we're talking about a game that's turning 20 in less than 2 weeks. This game, of course, is my favorite game of all time, Legend of Mana. Legend of Mana, known as Seiken Densetsu 4 in Japan, is the sequel to Trials of Mana, which released in 1995. Legend of Mana released with a robust marketing campaign and plenty of hype. The Tokyo Game Show in 1999 drove all the hype that the game needed before its debut in July of that year. Japanese copies of the game were packaged with demos of Vagrant Story, Chrono Cross, Front Mission 3, and Threads of Fate. All 4 games were yet to be released, but this was standard operating procedure for Squaresoft at the time. Fighting game Tobal No. 1 featured a demo disc for Final Fantasy VII here in the States, and they had done similar promotions with other games in their library. Initially, the game was planned to release in North America sometime around July or August to coincide with Chrono Cross and Threads of Fate. However, that date was pushed up to June 6th for reasons that I couldn't find online. If you happen to know why it was pushed up, please fill me in, let me know in the comments. I want to know more. Now, right off the bat, you notice something very distinct about this game. It's a PlayStation title that doesn't use 3D. It turns out that Mana series creator Koichi Ishii had some very grandiose plans for Legend of Mana's world, but hardware at the time simply couldn't handle it. As a result, producer Akitoshi Kawazu had to clamp down on Ishii's ideas and force him to focus a bit more. But in my opinion, this really allowed Legend of Mana to develop its own unique art style and presentation. I've always been a fan of more constraints in the creative process. It forces your brain to really think, and you actually get more creative in the process. And I'll be honest, it worked for Legend of Mana. It really did. The game looks better for it, and it has aged very well. I mean, take a look. The sprites are gorgeous on the 32-bit PlayStation. The detail you get out of the 2D artwork is nothing short of breathtaking. It just works. There's something to be said about our over-reliance on 3D rendering in gaming back in the late 90s. I mean, this started with the Sega Saturn back in 1995. I mean, there was this push that 2D graphics were the were old technology, the last generation, and 3D games were the way of the future, and anybody that was trying to make a 2D game was out of their mind. And that's really not the case. I mean, granted, there were some great 3D titles that came out of that time period, but I feel like we also lost something in the process. The game itself doesn't have a main story thread. Rather, there are lots of small stories packed throughout the game, and it's up to you to find them and build the world around you. The game is set 900 years after the Mana Tree burned to the ground. A new seedling has taken root, and your actions in the world of Fadiel will help it grow again. As you play the game, you obtain artifacts which can be placed on the world map. When you do, it opens a new location and new quests to take on. Each story snippet can be as short as 10 minutes or can go up to several hours. One of my favorite story arcs is the Fairy arc, and it culminates with this grandiose battle against Erwin, who is this half-demon, and he's trying to resurrect this sky serpent to destroy the world. And so you're fighting him, and when the music hits, there's this trumpet fanfare into this hard, electric guitar rock sound, and it's this great, grandiose battle. This is that moment of, we are here, this is the fight. And there's something about that arc that is just so satisfying, and I love it for that, because you don't see boss battles quite like this all that often. The plot that led up to the fight felt meaningful, and then when you get there, alright, this is it, let's do this. It's really something. You have to experience it for yourself. You really do. The combat in Legend of Mana follows in the footsteps of its predecessors. All battles are done in real time. You have a light and heavy attack, 2 ability buttons, and 4 buttons reserved for special techniques and magic. The abilities you have available will unlock other abilities and special techniques simply by having them equipped or by using them. Each of the weapons has their own list of special techniques to unlock. Some abilities can be used by multiple weapons too. Half the fun of combat is experimenting and finding your own optimal fighting style. Personally, I like starting out with sword and shield, and then moving into flail, spear, and bow as needed. You might find you like the fighting glove, knife, or the two-handed sword. And that's fine. Everybody gets to play this game their own way. In keeping with the free-form nature of Legend of Mana, there are several crafting systems at your disposal throughout the game. The workshop will let you craft weapons and armor, the golem shop will let you create a robot to help you instead of your pet, and the instrument shop lets you make musical instruments that can be used in battle like magic spells. All of these are total money sinks, and you can easily spend hours upon hours in just one part of this workshop. I've been known to spend way too much time in the golem shop just dropping every single weapon and armor that I've picked up into making logic blocks and then trying to fit them in all Tetris style, and then realizing that I've got a couple open spaces, running over to the workshop, making some random weapons, and then trying to make more blocks, failing, repeating the process, and then eventually running out of supplies and money. And, well, it doesn't end so well. This game, this portion of the game is a total money sink, and it is very, very easy to go bankrupt if you're not careful. Don't say I didn't warn you on that one. It's a lot of fun, though. So I've talked about all the things that I really like about Legend of Mana, but I've saved my favorite part for last. The soundtrack to this game is amazing. I love the music in Legend of Mana. So much so that I bought the soundtrack when I visited Tokyo in 2015, the Square Enix Artnia Cafe, right outside their corporate headquarters in Shinjuku. The cafe has a little gift shop and everything, and they had the soundtrack, so I'm like, yes. I mean, this is one of those soundtracks that is so well done and sets the tone for all the parts of the game. It's beautiful. It's just gorgeous. The soundtrack was composed by somebody by the name of Yoko Shimomura. You might know her for her work on this game, and this game. Oh, and she also wrote this guy's theme, too. I mean, she's got a very robust resume to her name, and she went on the record as saying that Legend of Mana was her favorite soundtrack to write because she felt like it expressed herself, her personality, the most. And you can tell just by the passion that goes into this soundtrack. I mean, I've been playing Legend of Mana music throughout this video, and like the boss battle themes sound like boss battle themes, and yet there's also these somber, calming, relaxing songs, and then there's the upbeat, there's the happy, there's the tense, there's the mournful, there's the aggressive. She runs this gamut in the game, but all of the songs feel right. And that's saying something for a soundtrack, and that speaks to Shimomura's abilities as a composer. I still say she is one of my favorite video game composers, and grossly underrated for her skills. I love the soundtrack of this game. It's so well done. Like that opening cinematic that I did at the start of the video, I get chills down my spine even thinking about that the music that goes with it, because it puts me in my happy place. Oh my god, yes. Oh man, and everybody has that thing that puts them in that happy frame of mind, and the Legend of Mana soundtrack is that for me. Now, in addition to being just a phenomenal game, there's a personal connection to Legend of Mana for me. You guys know about my Extra Life fundraisers that I do, where I raise money for Gillette Children's Hospital because they saved my brother, David's life. There's another side to this. There's always been a fair amount of sibling rivalry in my family, and David and I never really got along very well with either of my siblings. I mean, we tolerated each other for the most part, but we had a tendency to butt heads more often than not. But David and I, we were able to connect over Legend of Mana, and this was one of the few areas where we would bury the hatchet and we would put aside our rivalries and our differences, and we would come together and we would play this game together. And it was one of those places where we could actually work together. And some of the very few happy memories that I have with my brother come from Legend of Mana. So I mean, this game is personal for me in ways that it probably doesn't resonate with a lot of other people, but for me, this game means a lot. Especially because, after his car crash, after his accident and his head injury, David was never the same. And so the memories that I have, going through, climbing the tower in the tower of the underworld with him, that's something that I'll always have, and I'll never be able to get that back. We'll never be able to go back to that. It's weird how you get a personal connection to a game. One that, you know, you might not have otherwise. Huh. This just got really dark. Wow, this got a really... I did not intend to take it in this direction, but here we are. But yeah, so this game turns 20 on June 6th. And that day just so happens to fall on a Saturday, which means, you know what? I'm going to start streaming this game on Saturday, June 6th. Which actually works out because that week prior, I'm actually not going to be able to stream as I normally would. Usually I stream on Monday and Thursday nights. And this coming week, I'm not going to be able to do that. So Saturday, June 6th, I'm going to start this game in the afternoon, and we're going to have ourselves some fun. We're going to dive headlong into this. I'll be honest, I'm looking forward to it. I've really been looking forward to this because I have not streamed this game in, like, forever. So this will be great. This is going to be a lot of fun. Make sure you're following me over on Vim, Mixer, and Twitch. I stream on all three. I'll have the links down below. I also have a merch store with t-shirts and some fun stuff. Go check that out if you want to help support the House of Dancing Arrows. Every little bit helps. Go buy a shirt. And check out my Discord. Come hang out. I've been doing a lot of 3D prints, making a lot of jewelry lately. You see these rings that I'm wearing. These are rings that I designed. And I've been having a blast with that. So I've been geeking out about that. We talk about video games. We talk about all sorts of fun stuff. My Discord is always a fun place to come stop by. You'll also get notified on there when I go live, because I make sure to let all of you know. So come hang out, check out the Discord, come check out my live streams of Legend of Mana. You will not regret it. This game is so much fun, and I can't wait to see you there. As always, I am DDR Freak, the Ginger Beard Man, and I look forward to seeing you again in the next video real soon. And you guys, have a good one.